So, did you know that May is officially Mental Health Awareness Month? Maybe most of you didn't know that, or you might have seen a post or a sign. But, really stop to think about that. I went to a summit this past weekend that really was extremely impactful. I love to go to these. I love to be around change makers. I love to be around people that are doing everything they can to make a difference in our communities. And they're helping to break the stigma by talking about mental health, by talking about alcohol and drug abuse, by talking about depression, by talking about suicide. We are going to make a difference. So I was thinking this morning when I got up and, talking about mental health month with somebody yesterday, and it got me thinking, like, I truly, truly, truly every single day try to be aware of mental health because it is all around us. We are bodies. All right. So doesn't it make sense? This is so funny. In my entire life, I've had one doctor, when I had an illness and I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on, she's like, "How is your mental health?" I'm like, well, holy smokes, it's about damn time that a doctor, right, asks the questions because I am part of a body system and my mental health is connected to the damn body, right? So this is really, really important that we get this because we all experience mental health, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. We all do. And it's frustrating to me when people walk around on this little cloud and they're like, "Oh, well, I don't have any experience with that. Nobody in my family's got experience with that." That's such bullshit. Like, I'm going to call bullshit on that. You all have experience with mental health. Just some people decide to go, "Oh, no, that's just not me. That's other people." Really understand this, folks. Like, unless you live under a rock. All right. And perhaps some of us do. You live under a rock and you're not around your community. You're not around people. You are surrounded with mental health. Some of it's great. People have great mental health, but every single one of us at some time in our life experiences something that diminishes that health. It might be temporary. Maybe you've experienced grief. That's mental health. Maybe there was a really bad storm and you had damage to your property. That's mental health. All right. Relationships, mental health. So it really got me thinking that we can do better. We can do better as a society. We can do better with how we treat others. We can do better with how we judge others. We can stop the shame around mental health because we all know, right? We'll walk around and talk about somebody having cancer or somebody having diabetes or somebody having, a medical condition, but we're often very close. Like, we could be suffering in silence. And so many of us are, and we're afraid to share with our neighbor, with our friend, with our family member. "I'm going through a thing right now. I'm watching my child or my spouse or somebody suffer with whatever mental illness they're experiencing, And the shame is what prohibits us from doing that. Because if we were watching our child go through some medical condition, we likely would seek support for that. We would share that with somebody. "Hey, you know what? My child is going through, this diabetic, or insulin related situation, and I'm really having a hard time with it." There's no shame in that. So why the hell is there shame in "my child doesn't want to live"? My child is struggling right now to find a reason to wake up in the morning. Why do we find that so incredibly difficult to talk about? And suicide is something we have to talk about. I've got some statistics for you. This'll blow your mind. Every 11 minutes, somebody in the United States takes their life. Every 11 minutes. Think about that. Like, this video is going to be longer than 11 minutes. Somebody is gone because they didn't have the will to live. Now, our children are feeling this. This will blow your mind. The 11th overall cause of death in the entire United States is suicide. It's number 2 for children. Number freaking 2. All right. Ages 10 to 14, it's the second leading cause of death for children. Ages 15 to 24, second leading cause of death for children. And we don't want to talk about this? So you know what? It gets me a little bit fired up. It gets me real fired up when I hear and see people judge others. That is a very difficult thing for me to watch and experience because I have been in the shoes of the person being judged. I've been that person. And I can tell you it feels like shit. It really does. So the next time you're so quick, and trust me, we all do this because we're human. Our first reaction is one of judgment. All right. So if we see somebody, and I always use the grocery store as an example because I have witnessed a lot of very sad things in the grocery store. I've witnessed desperation. I've witnessed anger. I've witnessed parents unleashing on their children. I've witnessed a lot of crazy stuff in the grocery store. And when I say crazy, that's not a reflection of mental illness, okay? So you can already stop those messages from coming. I'm saying unusual events is what I mean by crazy. People are having a hard time. So the next time that mother is unleashing on her child, okay, getting a little bit angry, instead of judging, maybe just imagine what it might be like in her shoes. Maybe just imagine. Perhaps she has to make a decision. Do I pay the rent or do I feed these kids? I'm a little angry about that. All right. Now, is it displaced? Yeah, it's definitely displaced. Perhaps she doesn't have the tools to process or move through whatever desperate situation she's experiencing, more than likely, because our mental health care absolutely sucks in this country. Totally sucks, right? We just do not have enough care for people. And we're not making it accessible and we're not making it prevalent. This is way more important than people stuffing themselves with shitty food and having to go into all of these situations that are causing it's. I know it's really strange because it's very hard for me to put a finger on this, but we have an epidemic of people abusing their bodies physically. All right. So what do we do with these people? We take them, we put them in the medical system. Maybe they can get in the medical system. We give them pills. We go, here you go. This will help fix your body. It's mental health. All right. We have to sit there and go, what is it? What is it about where you are right now that this is the nourishment that you feel this most amazing miracle of a body deserves? What's going on? What's going on? We don't have those resources. So people continue to abuse their bodies with food, with alcohol, with drugs, because there's very limited resources. All right. So anyways, back to the judgment piece. And I'm going to give you a really good example. All right. Now, one, I've been in those shoes where I had no food. I have been in those shoes where I had $17 to go to the grocery store and buy enough food for myself and my 2 kids for a week. That shit sucks. All right. Now, that was back in the 90s. Food might have been cheaper. $17 didn't go far for a week. So my mental health during that shopping experience was excessively desperate. It was hard. So by having people around me whisper and point fingers because I was an angry bird didn't help me, really didn't help me. It didn't make my behavior excusable. All right. So understand that. I'm not excusing my behavior at all. I'm just saying the tools that I had at the time were not good. I did not know how to cope. Coping skills were lost to me. I didn't have that education from my family. I definitely didn't have people displaying good coping skills around me. So here's how you can help display good coping skills. Be kind, be patient, serve grace, and maybe just take a deep breath in that moment, close your eyes and pass a little bit of energy to that person, because I can tell you what they're going through is hell. It really is. And it's very isolating. It's very scary. And you just feel like the whole world is against you. It really sucks. Now, road rage is another one. Angry people driving. Very angry people driving. And there's very irresponsible people driving. There's a combination of both. But there are times where I will catch myself getting angry at somebody because I really came close to having an accident because of the way they swerved or their speed. And that anger is rooted in fear. So we cannot get angry without fear. Fear is coming first. It might come in a flash, but there is fear. Fear that something is taken from you, fear that something will hurt you, fear that something will affect you. Fear is the basis for anger, all right? Important. So whenever I catch myself in that situation, I remind myself of the day. And this is such a really important lesson. The day my nephew shot himself in the head. Yeah, early in the morning. I was living in Connecticut at the time. I happened to be in Florida visiting, and I was literally at the airport with my little dog, Wesley, getting on the shuttle bus to fly back to Connecticut when I got that phone call from my sister that her son had shot himself. You can't even imagine that was the mind eraser. I remember very, very little. I know I grabbed my stuff, I jumped off the shuttle bus, and I sat on the ground. I needed to sit on the ground to cope. Nobody asked if I was okay. They just this wackadoodle gets off the shuttle bus and just sits on the ground. Nobody asked if I was okay. That was all right. You know what? I got this. Grabbed Wesley. We jumped in the car. I probably drove 100 miles an hour all the way to my sister's house. Not safe, not smart. Picked her up, and she began looking for a flight. My nephew was living out west at the time. We were in Florida. We had to get to him. And the flight that we could get was about 2 hours away at an airport. And this is morning traffic by now. And I am driving absolutely ridiculously crazy. I really am. because my fear of us not getting there in time. Now, we thought we were going to make it. Okay. So we didn't. But, anyways, I drove like such a madwoman. And I know I pissed off a million people. My coping skills sucked. They sucked. I didn't have it in me to go, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't drive. Maybe there's some other way. Let's spend $1,000 on an Uber and get there safely and not impact anybody. I didn't have those coping skills at the time. All right. Thank God I didn't hurt anybody. We got there. So today, whenever somebody is driving like an absolute crazy person, say a little prayer. I hope whatever's going on in their world is okay. Doesn't make it right. Not everybody is rushing to get to the airport, to get to the hospital. That's not the case. Some people are just intentionally not caring about anybody but themselves, and they know it. All right. So discarding those people. We're just talking about having some grace. We're talking about having some patience. We're talking about going, wow, somebody might be having something happen in their world right now that they're just not able to cope with well. Is there anything I can do to help? When you go to work and you've got a colleague that you think is just an asshole, stop and think about that for a minute. Really. You know what I mean? There's difficult people everywhere. But who are we to judge someone's level of difficulty? I was blessed to work for a major airline as a customer service representative for about 11 years. And that's a full-on assault of human emotions, let me tell you. Because I worked at the ticket counter, which let me just preface it. This was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had in my entire life because I legitimately love people. And I love all people. And I have developed Trauma Recycled, right? Remember the name of my book, Trauma Recycled? A lot of my trauma taught me patience. I have great patience. It's not exceptional. I have great patience. I practice it. I've worked at it. People stand in line to verbally assault you. They really do. They stand in line and they can't wait to get up in front of you because they're fuming. They're stewing. Every bad emotion about this experience is going to come unleashed to you because you're the only human standing in front of them. There's no Mr. Delta off to the side where they can go scream at. It was Ann or my colleagues, okay? But what I learned from that experience, this is really important. People are losing their shit, all right? The flights just canceled or delayed. I had to remember, this is what I do every single day. Every single day. I knew this, right? This is what happens. They're like vehicles. Cars break down. What do you do when your car breaks down? You get upset. You have to figure out how to solve it. I have to be somewhere. It's the same thing with the airline industry. Big difference is they have no power to change it. They have no power. Your own car, you call a tow truck. You can call a friend that's a mechanic. You might even crawl under the hood yourself. When it comes to airlines, you can't do that. You're privy to whatever it is happens on that airline. All right. So you're stuck. And this scares the hell out of people. So they legitimately have no idea how to handle a situation. That is a loss of control. And for many folks, that is a trigger. There's triggers that go back to previous experiences that bring that all right back to them. And I get it, right? I understand that. So I got really good at understanding these people were not angry at me as a human being. I did nothing to harm them. I'm just the only person in front of them. And I can tell you, I heard some extremely sad stories. And it doesn't excuse people having bad behavior. It doesn't excuse screaming, yelling, swearing. It doesn't excuse anything like that. But it helped me to understand, you know what? I am not in everybody's shoes. I cannot judge why somebody is acting irrationally. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. All right. It means that at that moment, whatever coping skills they have accumulated in their lifetime is not enough to handle this situation, or it's not refined enough, or they don't understand enough. So I had a woman, give you an example. She just came unglued, man. She was screaming her brains out at me because she had to get to ABC Place. And, I took a breath and I said to her, listen, I'm going to do everything I can to help you. I'm just going to need you to calm down so that I can focus. And I promise you, I will do whatever I can do to help you. And she, like a switch went off. She immediately started crying hysterically and she apologized. And she said, my son just tried to take his life and he's on life support and I'm trying to get there. Think about that. How many people do you run across that are in those shoes that you don't even know? You're just passing judgment. That really was like, I just wanted to jump over that counter and just love on her like nobody's business. But I couldn't. I had a job to do. And man, I did it. I did everything I could. To this day, I'll never know if she made it. But you know what? If I had been like a lot of people and gotten defensive and been an ass back, what would that have solved? really, really. So for those out there that are in customer service, especially the airline industry, props to you. And it's difficult, but it is so damn rewarding too. I mean, I really was able to, help people from dark spaces, lots of hugs, lots of, people traveling on their very first vacation by themselves after their spouse died. Man, it's tough stuff. I had the same guy every year in February, second week of February, on a Saturday morning. I remember him like so clearly. Called it Cancun Saturday because we had a nonstop Cancun flight. And the first year I met him, he was very pensive and sad. He was by himself and he was going to Cancun. And so I, like, well, this sounds like a great trip. The weather's going to be awesome. I was living in Hartford at the time. So February in Cancun sounded like magical. And he looked up, his face got very emotional. His eyes got red. And he said, "This is the first trip without my wife." Wow. I said, "Do you have support? Will somebody be there with you to spend time in Cancun with?" He said, "All my kids are coming." Man, it's awesome. It's awesome, and let him talk. He needed to talk. Let him talk for a little bit and came around from the counter, gave him a big hug, sent him on his way. Following year, he came back again and he came right up to me. It's like, "You made a difference for me that day. That was a very difficult day." He's like, "Thank you." And that kind of stuff, that is why I do what I do. That is why I do what I do, because when you can do something so simple and human and make that kind of an impact on somebody, think about what's possible. You know what I mean? Remember a time when you felt so alone and so sad, and another human being did something that caused that to shift. Just remember that feeling. You have the power to pass that on to somebody. You have the power to make somebody's day brighter, even if it's not brighter, even if it's tolerable. Just let them know they matter. Let them be seen. Let them be heard. Ask if they're okay. Are you okay? That's not hard. But for some reason in our society, we find it appropriate to go, "What the hell is wrong with her?" Think about that. All of these people that I just gave you an example of are still happening right now at this moment. This very same thing is happening to people every single moment, and they're all around us. Imagine if we lived in a world where we just acted with kindness instead of judgment. What a massive shift that would be. And that's leading by example. That's showing people better coping skills. That's showing people humanness. And isn't that nuts that we now have to teach humanness? That's crazy. That's really crazy. Let me teach you how to be human, because right now you're on the fast track to being a machine. Machines judge what works and what doesn't work. That's it. Works and doesn't work. There's no gray. There's no in between. Machines are work or not work. There's no, maybe I can get this to work. Maybe I can change. Maybe I can shift. Well, in this country, 52% of adults have some form of mental illness. 52%. And that statistic, mind you, is a couple of years old. We can't very well have a statistic for 2025, and there's just no possible way to have it that quick. And most importantly, not everybody's going to answer that question. Nobody came along to me a couple of years ago and said, "How is your mental health?" It didn't happen. There was no poll given to me. So how many of us didn't get that poll? How many of us are not honest? Over 70 of adults in America have a serious mental illness, serious mental health condition. Think about that, 70. So if 10 of you are gathered together, 7 are having a difficult time. And that stigma has got to stop. It really does. It really does. Because there's no definition of mental illness that's not human. I don't know. I hope you give some thought to this. I hope you give some thought to Mental Health Awareness Month. Every month we have something that we bring to our awareness, because I guess it's like the other 11 months out of the year, we forget that it existed. It's a way to bring things forward again. But this is one that's forward every single day, 365 days a year. We got to talk about this stuff. We got to talk about this stuff with our kids, talk about this stuff with our grandkids, talk about this stuff with our neighbors, talk about it with our friends. Because right now, someone beside you is suffering in silence because they don't feel it's okay and they're afraid they're going to be judged. Share your thoughts. Please reach out. If anybody's looking for help, I have a lot of great resources. Let me know. Send me a message, send me a DM, send me a text. There is help out there. It's not always easy to find, but our communities, plural, there are some resources. Mental health is not a dark topic. It's a human topic. And the more we talk about it, the less power the silence has. So today, talk to your neighbor, talk to your kids, talk to your friends, talk to your spouse, talk to your loved ones, talk to your colleagues. You might be the one person, the only person that asks if they're okay. Just ask. They're not looking for any answers from you. They just want to be seen. They want to be heard. Be that person. All right. I hope you join me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. These are the real conversations that we have every week. Talk about the real stuff, the human stuff. I hope you'll join me. Thanks so much for listening.